I just love a challenge, and challenges can be problems, on the sales floor with a seller, with a buyer, with a transaction. And like the minute somebody has a problem, like I'm the first one to like be there asking questions, trying to figure it out. The other day, one of our neon lights went out, and I instantly ran over there with a screwdriver, popped the switch open, took all the wires apart, hardwired it, wrapped it up, put it back in the wall, and turned it on. Like and that was something so little and stupid, but I was like, oh, there's an issue. Let me fix it real quick. So I think it's just that it's the challenges I give myself to get that little bit of gratification for a moment. And I get the same feeling being a floor general at any position I have within a company, where I want to know everything I can know about the whole business so I can help everybody as much as I possibly can. And it's the same with my Misfits community when, I do a Q&A at the end. Throughout my calls, I'm always asking what's somebody having a problem with, And I remember when I first started doing Zoom calls like 2 years ago, I didn't have the confidence of asking those questions. I would ask them and I would get nervous, like, shit, am I going to know what to answer? So, I feel that, but if I didn't start doing that 2 years ago and get comfortable with it, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today with the way I coach and what I teach. So now when I ask a community, what are you guys struggling with? I'm salivating at the questions because I know I can help. Even if I don't technically know the answer, I can get a workaround. I can get a mindset answer. I can refer somebody. Like I'll call somebody myself that I need to figure the problem out with and relay it. So yeah, I'm just a problem solver. I like it. It makes me feel good.
The thing that's grown from that is that there's people who can solve problems and they can get things done, and then there's people who can also teach things out. And teaching has become a big part of who you are and what your brand is and going forward. And if you juxtapose that with how you grew up and your distaste for authority, I'll put that nicely, like you have a big fucking difference between those two things. How did you go from spitting in your teacher's coffee to teaching people how to do this stuff on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's funny because it's nothing I consciously did. It was
you spit in her coffee.
Well, I did that. Yeah, I spit in my teacher's coffee on purpose.
Yeah, okay.
But I just never liked authority. I didn't have a ton of structure, I guess, growing up. I was kind of, free to do what I wanted for the most part. Like this was way back before cell phones and stuff. Like I could just hop on my bike and leave all day long and come home just when it got dark. So I had a lot of freedom when I was younger, and I just grew up kind of fast and realizing I didn't need a lot of, people telling me what to do. And when I was in school, I had this chip on my shoulder because all the teachers hated me because, I probably had ADD or whatever back before they called it that. And as fidgety as I am now, I was worse when I was a kid. And you were trying to get me to sit in a classroom for 6-7 hours and, listen to a boring teacher read out of a textbook from the 70s probably. It's not like they updated those things. So it was excruciating for me to sit in class. I hated every minute of it. I hated school with a passion. I never did any homework. Anytime a teacher would tell me something to do, I didn't respect it at all. And I always thought I knew more than them. And it wasn't until I started working construction years later where a foreman would tell me something to do. And I would be like, okay, I don't know how to do this. Like, now I'm to the level of like, yeah, I'm learning something that I don't know anything about. But you're trying to teach me English? Like, who gives a shit? I don't need this. But I do need to learn how to, wire a house because it's going to be how I'm going to make money. So I did have, respect for a foreman I had and just certain, people I would work out with and, Coach Pokey, who I talk about a lot, who's one of my mentors and coaches still to this day. He'll teach me stuff and I listen, but it just seemed like there was a lot of dumb people around me that were trying to be authority. And I knew at a young age, like, I'm smarter than you. I don't have to listen to you. And that got me into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But It's just the way I'm wired. And it's probably the reason I became an entrepreneur, because it was, hard for me to have a boss. We talked about Spanish earlier. And when I took that Spanish 101 class at community college or city college in San Diego, it's the first time I was in a classroom in, 20 years, really. And this teacher was trying to get me to do a PowerPoint presentation. And I don't know how to do that. Big surprise.
To this day.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, how to do it, or anything. I don't want to know. I don't really fucking care. So I told this teacher, I'm like, I'm not doing a PowerPoint presentation. I'm not here to do presentation. Like, I'll do a presentation in front of a class all day, but it's not going to be on PowerPoint because I don't know how to do it. I don't have time to learn it. I'm running a fucking $1 million company over here. I got employees. Like, I'm just here to learn Spanish, not to learn PowerPoint. And she said, well, there's, 3 PowerPoint presentations this semester. And if you get a 0 on 2 of them, you're dropped from the class. And that just triggered me to berate her in front of the entire class. And I told her that my life was more important than hers. I had way more people that I was responsible for. I ran a business, and she gave up on life and became a teacher. And she didn't take kindly to those comments and asked me to leave. So I got whatever they call it, dropped from the class and told to leave. And I left and never went back.
Berate was a very accurate word.
Yeah. I didn't respect her,
And that translates into teaching now.
Yeah, because I know what I'm talking about. And if I didn't know what I was talking about, I wouldn't teach. But there's a lot of people out there. I never thought I was going to teach anything in wholesaling. That wasn't the goal when I got into this. And, shout out to Eric for, pushing me to do so, because he was the first one that was like, hey, I got all this sales material that I can teach acquisitions. Dispo so well. Why don't you teach Dispo? And I was like, yeah, I guess I could. But I'm glad he pushed me to do it, because I ended up getting really good at it.
Yeah. Where do you see that?
But there's a lot of fake people out there that don't teach well, as we know. We talk about that a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, people are spending really good money on, education in this space. And I've been to enough events and involved with enough masterminds and talked to enough people and been invited to speak at people's masterminds and been invited to and paid to train gurus' teams because they didn't know how to train them properly. And because of all that, it's motivated me to teach even more, because I know I have the best material and people can relate to me better than somebody that hasn't wholesaled a deal or talked to a buyer or a seller in a decade.
Yeah, wholesaling is extremely lucrative, and you can do it so quickly. So there's so many people who want to jump into this space. There's so many people who want to learn and get the right information, but there's also going to be people who, just like throughout every other aspect of their life, they're able to create something quick or maybe get a little bit of success or sell you on something that really isn't there. So gurus have been a big topic of discussion in general for wholesaling. I think it's something that has died down quite a bit, and mostly due to yourself and Eric talking about that. Why are you so adamant about that subject, and why do you stick up for it so much and try to educate people on what's going on?
Because it's not fair. It's not fair to take money from people and not give them what they're paying for. It's fake and it's bullshit, and I don't agree with it. And you'll see it with people who, make a reel about you or about a call you made on Instagram, and then you defend yourself against that, and then they block you and all your followers from their Instagram because they know they're in the wrong and they can't defend what they're saying, but they're fucking cowards. And, the world's full of a lot of shysters and cowards, and it's easy to pretend like you know what you're doing on Instagram, but in reality, a lot of these guys are just spineless swindlers that are taking money from hardworking people, and I just don't think it's fair. I put myself in their shoes, and if that was me, putting $20,000 or more on a credit card to learn something, and then that person doesn't produce and teach me, like that can ruin a family. So I'm always over giving, and it's because a lot of what I just talked about, but people maybe don't know this about me, but I have very low self-esteem by nature. And it's like, maybe that's why I'm really driven too, because it's always like, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. I got to work harder. Like, that's how my brain works. I used to think there was something wrong with me. And then the longer I thought about it and tried fixing it, the more I got comfortable with it and was like, why try fixing this that's making you successful? So I just live in it now. And when it helps everybody around me, because I'm nicer to my friends. I'm a good gift giver because I want to go above and beyond. I work really hard for myself, my team, my partners. I'm a great workout partner. I'm a great teacher because I'm always giving more than people are paying for. If you ask, I'm confident you can ask anybody that's ever given me $1 for value. If that money was well spent, I guarantee you every single person would say yes.
Two-folded for this question. Where do you see, and this I think this will be the last one that I have, where do you see your brand going now in 2024? And then also, what should people's expectations be for the podcast moving forward?
Yeah, the brand is going to continue to grow not only in wholesaling, but also in fitness and in life and in coaching and mindset and getting you on the right path and on the right routine. And in terms of sales coaching, more calls, more communication, teaching and coaching, and how to overcome these problems. Like, I think it would be really cool to do at our next mastermind, our next A to Z mastermind in-house, have people throw problems at me live while I'm there, even if it's making calls to solve problems, and just do it in real time. Things that I don't have a chance to think about. I'm just throwing a problem and I got to solve it. So the things I'm good at, that's what I want to teach. That's what's most valuable. And with the podcast, I just wanted to get this first one knocked out because we've been talking about it for so long. And, it's not a New Year's resolution by any means. I don't do those. But it was definitely a goal that needed to get started because people ask about it. And I think I can give a lot of value on this podcast and grow a community in this podcast. I can have guests on, which I'm definitely going to do, but also do, solo episodes or episodes with you. It's hard for me to sit here and come up with ideas, but obviously, as you guys can see, when somebody asks me something, I can talk about it for a half an hour. But that's just how my brain works. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of episodes coming out, and I just want to give value and make it fun. And it doesn't always have to be about business or money or any of that. It can be about anything.
Yeah. I'm privy enough and also unfortunate enough to be able to see the DMs that you get on Instagram, and you'll get questions from every freaking sector of life and any kind of idea that I've ever seen. So if there's anything that you guys want to know more about, or if there are topics that you guys want to see discussed, definitely drop those in the comments because it's something that we're looking at all the time. So if there is something that you want to see, drop it there. Tony's an open book, unfortunately. He'll let you know exactly what's going on all the time. Is there anything you want to close with, Tony?
No, man. I'll just see you guys at the top. Thanks for joining.